Here we go.
Rafi's Rant.
Hola, you amazing artist, and welcome to the studio. I'm taking a break from writing today, and there was a conversation that Klee and I had this weekend, and so just a warning, this video is going to be a rant. This is going to be a rant, so if you don't want to hear me rant about something, then just, don't watch it. I got a few comments from people that were basically saying, I don't know, I usually don't worry about when there's negative comments and stuff like that, and for the most part, the majority of the comments that I get from you guys is like, we are on the same page, and then there's some people that are just kind of whiny. I don't get frustrated because it, bothers me and, or is a whatever. It's not about me. It's about them. And it's frustrating because they're so much more than what they are. Which I try not to rant because I understand that people go through difficulties, and I completely understand how it's easy to go down this rabbit hole in your brain when it comes to doing this, what we do as artists, like going out there and doing something. I have such an extreme point of view when it comes to doing what we do for a living, right? And actually being able to make a living from it, but not counting on the fact that we're able to make a living. It's really hard to explain that concept. You spend years and years and years making excuses to not put your artwork out there, and then you then decide at some point in your life that you're going to do it, and unless you realize that you have years and years of excuses and insecurities and roadblocks and layer upon layer of excuses that are actually covering up the insecurity, it's difficult to face a lot of the stuff that you're going to go through. When I get a comment on YouTube where maybe I am saying, just put your stuff out there, tell a story, you have a story. There's so much insecurity around that stuff, and I understand why. It's because if you go online and you look at marketing, they're talking about story, they're talking about these things, they're talking about all this stuff, and really, it's not that difficult. It is very simple. I created this piece this weekend, and the story behind this piece is I had these small canvases. I have an entire box full of these canvases that I bought maybe about 8 years ago, and I wanted to do like a small series of something that would be easy to sell, because these, if you buy in bulk, don't cost you that much. This was in the early days, and I was still trying to figure out where I was and how I felt about things. Well, I've kept these. I have put them for sale, and what I ended up doing this weekend, I was like, I need to figure out how to actually make these have a meaning for me. But that in of itself, my thought process when it came to creating that's still a story in the making. So I'm not going to bullshit somebody and be like, oh, well, the meaning behind it is all that rhetoric that you hear when somebody's doing an artist statement. I'm going to tell them the story of how it came to be and whatever it is and then afterwards I could tell them this is how it came to be. Now when I look at these pieces, this is what I feel. That's all story. It's just communicating what it means. I understand why there's a confusion, because that was confusing for me in the beginning. It was confusing to me because you read these super artsy fartsy artist statements on a piece, and it's almost as if they were thinking about these things while they were creating it. And in some cases, you do think of something, you do have something that you want to convey with something. But it's just a story. It's just whatever story it is in the creation of the piece. It's really not that difficult. I think one of the things that really frustrates me is when people look at their insecurities and allow their insecurities to take command. One of the comments, and this was what I argued, or not argued, but ranted about on Discord, was the fact that somebody was like, well, maybe I don't have a story. Maybe I just want to sell my art, And, AKA, I value my privacy. And I'm like, wait a second. So why are you watching me? Because my whole thing is put yourself out there in whichever way is comfortable for you. But if you're going to put yourself out there, then you have to have a conversation with someone, right? And in my mind, I was like, okay, so let me get this straight. So when you meet someone, do you just stand there and you're just quiet and you don't say anything? Like, you just met somebody and you're just like, I'm not going to share anything because privacy. So in my mind, I'm like, I hear all these very, very brilliant but bullshit excuses on why somebody doesn't put themselves out there or doesn't share their art or whatever. And a lot of time, these bullshit excuses, all the time, these bullshit excuses are attached to insecurities and fear. I look at somebody and I see so much more. You have so much potential. You have so much power. You are an artist. You are like, holy crap. You are a force to be reckoned with. But instead of just putting yourself out there and speaking your voice and speaking it however it is, whether it's through music or through art or through writing or whatever it is, to just put yourself out there and understand you're going to be in the arena and there's going to be people that are going to say some shit, and that's fine. I don't care. So like the comment on YouTube doesn't bother me because it hurts my feelings or anything. It bothers me because I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you doing this to yourself? When you are facing these fears, you're going to want to make sure that everything is ready and perfect before you actually do this other thing, or like you're going to try and prepare and stuff. And I'll be honest with you, that's not going to get you very far. It is all just a matter of freaking risk taking and taking chances and understanding I don't know shit about this thing, but this is the direction that I want to head in, and I'm going to jump in. It is so much an internal journey as it is what you do. You have a lot of people on YouTube that are talking about what to do, right? This is how you do this, step 1 through step 2. But you cannot cover the internal struggle, what's going on inside of you, and what excuses and what bullshit you've been telling yourself, or what stuff in society you've been buying over the last who knows how many years that are going to be the biggest roadblock for you putting yourself out there. If you plan to live a different life than what you have been living, you are going to have to change that aspect of your life. And that change is going to happen internally. If you want to do something that you've never done before, you have to be a different person than you've been. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be a different person than you've been. If I could do it, if anybody out there could do it, nobody is better at being you than you, A. And if somebody is able to put themselves out there and you are just saying like, oh, you know, they got lucky, like, that's just an excuse, right? That's just an excuse to tell yourself, it's okay, you don't need to try that hard because they had luck on their side. And I'm like, just stop doing that. Stop saying this stupid shit to yourself and just put yourself out there and understand that it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. You're going to fall on your face. And just because you fall on your face doesn't mean that you fail. It just means that you got to get back up and either keep moving forward or pivot or change direction or do something that is going to help you keep moving forward, to keep growing little by little, incrementally as you go. Being an artist is not a get rich quick scheme. It just isn't. So like, put yourself out there. If you want people to buy your art, they need to know that you exist. And the fact of the matter is that people buy art from artists that they feel that they know. And so if you've got no story, they're not going to get to know you. It's not about going out there and pouring out your dirty laundry. It's not about going out there and complaining and bitching and moaning. It is about going out there and just telling your story. It's not that difficult. It could be anything. I woke up this morning and I saw this sunset and I took a picture and I wanted to paint it. And these colors in this piece represent that sunset and how I felt in that moment. It's not, there's nothing, you're not, privacy. I get it. I get it. Understand that there is a fine line between making an excuse, right, and buying into your bullshit excuse and putting yourself out there and in a genuine way and meeting people and getting to know people and giving people the time to develop a relationship with you So that, yes, maybe at first there's crickets. Yeah, people are liking stuff, but nobody's buying. I hear that all the time. People like the stuff, but nobody's buying. It's not about people buying the stuff. It's not about people buying the stuff. It's about people developing a relationship with you so that maybe in a year or two, they feel so comfortable and so compelled to buy something from you. And then at that point, it has so much more meaning when it's hanging on their wall or they're listening to it or they're looking at it or whatever it is. It has way more meaning. It's about that. And I get it. But it's just, yeah. The fact is that you, no matter who you are, no matter what situation you're in, you have the capability and you have the sense and the power inside of you to make anything that you want happen. Let me repeat that. You already have everything. You don't need to wait around for something to happen. You don't need to wait around for this. You already have it within you to make it happen. You're gonna have to climb the stairs. You're gonna have to go step by step by step by step by step until you get to a place where you have a better vantage view of what the landscape looks like. But until then, it's almost like you're walking around in the dark. And you gotta understand, if you see anyone out there that is doing something that you wish you could do, they didn't have it easy. It didn't happen overnight. They had to go through that same journey. No matter what, they have to get there at some point. And so if you're using that, it's easier for them. Oh, they were just lucky. Oh, they blah, 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 blah. Like, all you're doing is making it harder for yourself. Be willing to just persist through the bullshit, because there is going to be a lot of bullshit, and most of that bullshit is going to come from in here. You've got this. You've got this. You just have to persist and stop telling yourself that you don't, and quit using excuses to remind yourself that you don't. So get started with what you have, where you are, and just do it, right? Stop thinking about it. Stop planning about it. Stop trying to cross all your T's and dot all your O's. If you are interested in doing something, if you really want to do it, then just do it. Just do it, because there is no amount of preparation that is going to get you ready for just doing it. Whether it's putting yourself out there, whether it is starting something new, like starting a blog or starting video or starting something. A lot of times we're sitting there, we're thinking, we're doing the research. And listen, I agree. There should be like at least some kind of research, so you don't just blindly, like if you don't know how to use something, take a look and see like, okay, well, maybe I could get this and play around with it. But get started. Get started. Do it now. Don't waste any time. That knowledge isn't going to stick. It's not going to be relevant to you being able to accomplish this thing. So like it doesn't necessarily stick. And I know that because as a corporate trainer, there was a certain way of doing the training classes where you put people in situations where they had to learn the stuff. I think about careers like being a doctor, right? So there's a lot involved there. Like you don't want to screw that up. The schooling gets them to a certain point, but then it's the residencies that they do. In order to get that degree, it is required that you are in the field working and learning and working and learning and working and learning as you go, that you are in those situations. Until you actually get out there and do it, it's not going to apply. It's not going to really make sense in a real type of way. There's plenty of things that you could learn somewhere that you're going to disagree with because it doesn't go with your situation. It just won't work. And it's the ability to put yourself out there and deal with the crap and fall on your face and do all that stuff that really gives you the education that you need in order to be able to really do something well. Let's say you want to get started on a new medium. Let's say that you want to start recording music. Let's say that you want to start doing video. Let's say that you want to start doing sculpture. The only way really that you're going to be able to do it is by doing it. You have to give yourself permission to do the thing horribly, badly. You got to give yourself permission to go in there and totally screw it up the first time. Because guess what? You don't know how to do it. You've never done it before, right? Even if it's a big concept like putting yourself out there in the world and your art in the world, like, yes, you don't know how to do it. So you're going to fall on your face. It's going to be crickets sometimes. You're not going to get the response that you want. I think about me putting myself out there 10 years ago versus me putting myself out there now. It's a huge difference. You absolutely have got this, but you have to trust in yourself. And so it's an inside job. You have to develop that trust with you and who you are and what you're capable of. If immediately when you think, I want to do this thing, and the first thought that pops up is like, oh, you can't do that thing. Then you know that emotionally, within yourself, within your mind, within your heart, that's where the work needs to happen, right? So that's where the work needs to happen. The way that we distract ourselves is by doing research, by doing stuff, and I'm not saying that learning is not going to help you to get more confident. Learning is going to help you, but if you are just learning, you are just stuck in a research loop, then you're not actually learning. It is finding out some information and then applying it. Finding out information, applying it. Finding out information, applying it, applying it, applying it. If you are trying to work out the road from step A to step B and C and D, and you're waiting until you have something that makes sense before you get started, well, guess what? This shit does not make sense. It does not make sense. I could not have laid out my road and the way that Klee and I have gone about doing things. There's just no way. You just have to trust it. You just got to take that one step and then evaluate and take that one step and then learn what you got to learn and take another step and keep going. And that's it. And can you do this? Of course you can. Of course you can. If I could do it, if anybody could do it, anything that anyone has ever done on this planet, you can do. Plain and simple. You can do. There's no, whatever limitations you are repeating to yourself, those are excuses and they're not real. You can do it. You can do anything that you set your mind to, because you are unstoppable. Thing is that it doesn't matter if I tell you that you're unstoppable. What really matters is whether or not you believe that you're unstoppable. So that's the food for thought. And thank you so much for watching, you guys. You guys are absolutely freaking amazing, and I totally adore you. And just know the majority of you guys are on this. We're seeing eye to eye. Some people still in that place where they're making excuses. It won't be forever, but some people are still there. And just get out of there. Get out of that place. That's all I have to say. You got this. You got this. Just remember that. And so I adore you. Thank you so much. I don't usually do these kind of rants, but if you like this, you can subscribe here. Yeah. Okay, and that's it. I adore you guys. Adios.